Hello class, in this video we'll talk about essential documentary film elements and we'll talk about colors, textures, and lines. The elements of a line, texture, and color all carry their own weights in the film. They have been used extensively by filmmakers to add new dimensions in the film. The color and its presence or absence from a film can make a significant difference to the film's message and mood. The hue, the color, the saturation, the contrast you use for the film, and even the type of lighting you use for the film matters, and they convey different messages to the audience. The background colors or the time of the day have their own symbolism. So here let me give you some examples to visualize the concept. In the following clip, the director increased the contrast of the video. You can see that the street is filled with different colors. So it presents a vibrant society, a cultural hub, festivity, and growth.
So underneath us is one of the 12 national parks that are under the water in the United States, and I have to think it's the most diverse and dynamic. You have any number of protected and endangered species.
And with the same street, however, if we adjust this saturation, the hue, and we make it in dull gray or faded colors, it can present poverty, disease, and degeneration. Here's another example of film that used the dull gray color or desaturated color to show the poverty. And here the director used the cold, dark, and desaturated color to show the known history of soy sauce production, the traditional way to make a soy sauce.
In a small coastal town in Wakayama Prefecture, Japan, the traditional streets and buildings hold one of the best kept secrets of Japanese gastronomy.
In this video, the director used the nature's color. However, it is not a real nature color. As you can see, the director used the tint effect to fill a green color to everything in the frame. If you take a look at the bark, the branches, all of them have been filled in a green color. By doing this, the director shows the mystery of the jungle. And the story is about a tribal migrated from Africa and live in the jungle in India for generations.
ತಲತಲಾಂತರದಿಂದ ನನ್ನ ಕುಟುಂಬವು ಭಾರತ ದೇಶದ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕದ ಕಾಡಿನಲ್ಲಿ ನೆಲೆಸಿದೆ. ಇದು ನಮಗೆ ರಕ್ಷಣೆ ಮತ್ತು ಆಹಾರವನ್ನು ನೀಡಿ ನಮ್ಮನ್ನು ಪೋಷಿಸುತ್ತದೆ.
In the previous clips, I talked about the colors in the film. So now let's talk about lighting and how lighting can make a difference in the film. So the time of the day you film and the weather of the day, it matters because it can change the condition of the lights and it can change the tone of the color. And also the location you film matters. Different locations have different access to the lighting, either the natural lighting or the artificial lighting. The following clips is from a documentary about a tribal in India and talk about their traditions. So as you can see, for this set, we have an interview of a old lady. So think about why the director chose to interview her in the room, in the dark environment, instead of in the nature, beautiful landscape. So here, the director used the dark environment, dark lighting, and dark color to kind of convey the feeling of, aged and also the tradition to convey those concepts. The following clips is from a documentary film that the interviewee recall his memory about 50 years ago, how the landscape looks like. To visualize the concept of memory, the director used the voice from the interviewee as a voiceover of the video, and for visual, the director showed the interviewee into the backlight to create a sequence of dreamy backlight shots, and it works well for memory shots.
50 years ago, you couldn't hardly walk through this place. It was wall-to-wall brush. There wasn't any grass.
Now imagine that you are the director and you're going to interview a fiction and fairy tale story writer, and how would you use lighting to visualize the concept of fiction and fairy tale? In the following clips, you will see that the director used the strong spotlights to focus on specific objects, and he also used an extreme close-up shot to show the detail of the interviewee's face and the book and objects, to convey the feeling of fiction and fairy tale.
And all the stories are like that, except this one. My life has always been immersed in magic. I've lived in magic the way a fish lives in water. My earliest reading were children's versions of the Greek myths. So the ideas of gods and goddesses and magic and wonders, those are my first stories. On full moon nights, I would sneak out of my bedroom window and go naked out into the night. It was this weird little ritual that I did. I had a lot of connection with animals. It was really deep. And I felt I had a telepathic connection. The strongest one of that was my first boa constrictor, Hista. In my dreams, I could look out through her eyes, and I felt her connection with me. And then I felt her let go at the other end. It's always sad when they die right before your very eyes. Within my soul, I have the soul of a snake.
However, don't overuse color, lighting, and visual effects in documentary film, because documentary film is about authenticity, right? And you want to keep in with the real events and people and be true, in the video. And too much color and visual effects can confuse your audience, whether this is a drama, a fictional film, or this is a documentary film, a real event. And you don't want your documentary film like this.
Part of a lousy town. I'm staring at a goddess. She's telling me she wants me.
You don't want your documentary film overused lighting and contrast and colors like that, right? It often looks like a fiction. And for this film, as I explained, the director applied tint effect to the film and filled in green color to the whole movie. So even though the director used the colors, and saturation in the movie, however, it's still real, right? So the main subject is still real event, and the environment still looks like a real space, a real place. Also in this clip, the director desaturated the footage and also applied tint effect and filled in more kind of orangish or yellowish color to the whole movie. However, it still looks like the real space, real environment, right? It's somewhere in the desert where it's very dry and a lot of sand. The texture can be understood like the texture of a paper. What type of texture is it? And specifically for here, when we refer textures in the video in documentary film, you can understand it like the effect you apply to the overall video as a style. For example, the grainy video effect, it can make your footage like an old footage, and it convey the concept of aged people or the events that happened in the past. The following clips use the lens flare and tint effect to flashback between different flowers and to show the detail of the flower.
Iran is currently the biggest saffron producer of the world, with production of 360 metric tons of dry saffron per year, and has more than 90% share of the global production. FAO's representative said Iranian saffron is undoubtedly the best in the world.
The vibrating colors and the flashbacks shows the beauty of the flower. These clips use the tint effect and the old film grainy effect to convey the concept of a long history.
Soy sauce is made from 4 main ingredients: soybeans, wheat, salt, and water.
Here, when we talk about lines and form, you can understand in like a short conversation. Basically, it means the framing of your film. How would you like to place your object in a frame? And framing is very important in painting, and it's also very important in film. It doesn't matter what location you pick up for the filming, you can always find their lines in the film. For example, here, by connecting the monitors together and the table, and we can get these lines, and all of these lines is directed to the main character. Okay, so it is suggested that you utilize the lines and pointing all of those lines to your main subject. So your audience eyeball will focus on the main character, main subjects of the film. Okay, as you can see, all these lines, if you connect them, it'll aim into the main subjects. So whenever you get a location, think about the vanishing point. Utilize the vanishing point and place your main subject at the vanishing point. And also think about the goal of thirds in the framing. For example, here, instead of fill the whole frame with the main subjects, the decorator just place the characters in the corner of the frame and follow the goal of thirds. And for this example, as you can see, the decorator divided the frame vertically by 3 and then put all the characters at the bottom. So in the background is the high wall, and it signifies the power. And here as well, you can see where the decorator placed the main character. And in this clip, the decorator placed the vanishing point and main character at 1/3 of the position in the frame. And for this example, the decorator placed the main character in front of the vertical columns, right? And then for the formation, the decorator used a triangle for the main character. So this signifies the power. And here as well, as you can see, if you connect all of these hands, the arms, you'll get this triangle. And when you have multiple characters in the film, think about how would you divide the characters? What is the relationship between different characters? So for example, here, instead of using a horizontal line to divide the 2 characters, the decorator creatively uses this tilted line, right? And here, the decorator equally divided the frame by 3 and fill each character into one of these cells. So it is your choice of how would you like to use the lines and form in the film, and it is your creativity. But most importantly, remember, utilize the vanishing point and direct all of those lines in the frame to your main character to let your audience focus on the main character.